You were at Lake Rant, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Tyler Vaughan, who says, "Hi, Digi. I would like to request a rant on the portrayal of Oda Nobunaga in anime. Shows like The Ambition of Oda Nobunaga, Sengoku Collection, and Nobunaga no Shinobi come to mind. The basis for my never-written capstone thesis paper was that the change in public perception of Oda, from bloodthirsty tyrant to efficient, if albeit direct, ruler, could best be perceived by seeing how his portrayal in anime has evolved. So that's one possible angle to approach the subject. Regardless, I look forward to seeing your future content. Best, Tyler Vaughan. P.S. I only recently became a patron, and I understand that money isn't taken out of my account till... Okay, well, I don't need to read all that. So anyway, I can't really talk about the evolution of Nobunaga in clear terms because he's been in so much shit, and I don't think there's been like a clear evolution of his character. I think it's just that the Sengoku era is so popular as like a as just an it's a part of Japanese history that most Japanese people know about. You probably know all these historical figures, even if you're just like a fucking regular middle schooler or something. And so and they're all in public domain. So it's like they're endlessly reproducible, easy to understand for anybody who lives in the country. It's a free cast of characters, and with Nobunaga having been this guy who sort of like was in a way, a traitor to Japan or Japanese values, in that he introduced guns into the picture, I think essentially tried to destabilize the government. He's, somebody who makes a good villainous presence, but you can also easily warp him to be a hero. He's a guy who, depending on how you want to interpret what he did, as well as like what your own values are, you could look at him in a lot of different ways. So he's a character who's very malleable, to different ideas of what would be the most interesting way to portray this character. You've seen him as in something like Sengoku Basara, the big bad. He's this just glowering, over-the-top, fucking evil mastermind character voiced by Norio Wakamoto, and that's like the earliest Nobunaga that I remember really taking note of, like really knowing who he was, and, beyond like the Onimusha opening cutscene when I did not know who he was. And like seeing him portrayed in lots of different stuff, he's been a cute girl countless times. There's a lot of idea of him being like this tactical kind of ruler, or somebody with, who's smarter or cooler, just because that makes for a better main character, I think. I think it really has more to do with trying to come up with interesting interpretations of this character whose name recognition instantly catches your attention, He's a fascinating historical figure, and the fact that there are so many other characters tied up in him. Like, when it comes to these Sengoku shows, you've always got, like, Nobunaga, and then he's got, Hideyoshi with him, and the other dude. I don't fucking remember all their names, but, like, he's got the other characters around him who you have to wonder, in this interpretation, is he going to be betrayed by his friend, like what happened in real history, or are they going to take a different route? How are they going to interpret these characters and their relationship? There's a lot of different personality types that make sense with the story still more or less unfolding in a way that makes, fits the history. And then you've got all these different factions you can work with. So it's just like it's instantly complex scenario to set something in this period. And you can, the audience will be able to fill in a lot of the blanks themselves as long as they know the period well. I definitely think it would be interesting to try and track the perception of Nobunaga over time, and especially how it's portrayed in anime. But I do think that it's been incredibly varied. I mean, he's in shows all the fucking time. Like, there's tons and tons of Sengoku shows, tons of Nobunaga shows. He's just an extremely popular character, and again, I think it mostly has to do with being a recognizable name that's in the public domain. It's the same reason there's endless Sherlock shows, like Sherlock Holmes is such a recognizable brand name. He's public domain, and if you're making a mystery show, why not tie it to Sherlock instead of trying to make your own original character who's never going to live up to Sherlock, unless you could do something really crazy, but you'd have to really be like reinventing the media or the genre in order for it to not invite comparison. So like, yeah, I think it's like if you're going to set a show during this particular period, if you're going to make it like, the end point of like the samurai times, or like the period when like guns started coming into the country, and like the before Japan's radical change and its sort of modernization period, then this is the most recognizable era to do that in with the most recognizable characters. So why not?